Welcome to the J Mac Show. This is a rant I'm going to go on, and I want every high school athlete, parent, and high school coach to listen up. I had to take down 4 freaking interviews this week with teams. I've had a horrific week covering high school games because high school, some of the teams I've covered, and I've addressed this with the ADs. Kids swearing during their interviews. Kids saying the Lord's name in vain during my interviews. I've gone to games where parents are going nuts and acting like freaking morons and living life through their freaking kids during the games and ruining for their kids when it comes to college recruiting because college coaches are recruiting parents too. Set an example. First of all, I don't want any comments right now. I want you to listen up and take this seriously. I've had people, high school teams, not take my interviews seriously. This past week. I've had high school teams call me and selfishly try to ask me to come cover them. Why I'm not covering them. And they were selfishly asking me to cover them. Earn your coverage. Earn. Okay? Be patient. I will get to you. Coaches, you should be educating your athletes on how to talk to the media. How they are perceived. You're always on stage. I've had college coaches call me and ask, and they call me every day, and they see my stuff all the time. And they'll tell me I'm not recruiting one of those athletes because the way they acted on my show. Because they swore and said the Lord's name in vain and other things. I see that all the time. I get that all the time. And I've had employers call me. Kids that I've interviewed use me as a reference out of the blue. And then they find out they've seen in an interview when they look on my page that I'm not hiring because the way they talk on my show or on my social media platform. I get it. I get this. Well, remember, they're high school kids. Parents, teach your kids how to talk professionally. Coaches need to teach your kids how to talk to their talk on my show or Picking Splinters and Prime Time. All of us. Channel 8, Channel 10. Or 13. I was interviewed by Stephen A. Smith in my first sectional final against Irondequoit in 06. ESPN, CBS, ABC Nightly News. And I never, ever swore on any of those interviews. Never. I had people telling me, advising me what not to say and what to say. But I wasn't prepared for it. I wasn't blitzed by the national media. I didn't ask them to come cover me after my 20-point game. Be humble in success and failure. And when you text me, talk to me professionally. Ephesians 4:29 says, don't let corrupt communication come out thy mouth. You're always on stage. How you are perceived everywhere in life, somebody is watching. High school coaches, listen up. Teach your kids how to represent your programs, how to represent your families, how to represent their schools. Tell your kids not to talk trash about the other team, not to say the Lord's name in vain, not to say anything derogatory, not to say, oh, we're the best team in the state now, blah, blah, blah. You're supposed to talk about your teammates. How they got you to success. You're supposed to talk about how tough the opponent was, how tough the game was. Give kudos to your coaches. Say positive things about your team. Because this is going to affect your coverage. I've had 7 interviews in 7 times I've had to take down interviews from ADs. I had a team during basketball season that I wouldn't cover the rest of the year because their bad body language, how many technical fouls they got during the game, how they don't slap each other up when the coach subs them out of the game, and how they swear at each other on the court. Even after a win, I didn't interview some of them. How you are perceived as a person competing as an athlete determines how, if I interview you now. Here is my strict policy. If you talk back to a coach or swear during the game or swear at teammates or talk back to coaches or say the Lord's name in vain or swear during the game or say the Lord's name in vain, you will not, I don't care if you're the top performer, or if you get a technical foul or talked to by an official or teed up by an official or thrown out of a game as an umpire, you will not be on my platform at all. Watch all my college interviews. I get it, they're 18 to 22 years old. They don't say any of that crap to me. At all. Stop. And here's my strict policy again. If you swear or say anything derogatory or say the Lord's name in vain or swear during a game, or if I don't see you slapping up teammates, or if I see poor sportsmanship, if I see bad body language, and if I see parents arguing with officials or yelling crap during at the coaches during the games, I am not interviewing you. I want high character men and women on my show that are professional people. First. I put it on the coach every time I interview you guys. Coaches, make sure you address this with your teams. Before I even come over there. I've seen a lot of teams do that. And plus, I want eye contact on me. I want to say, thanks for your time on the show. Colin Sullivan, that's an inappropriate question. Because I've had 7 interviews I've had to take down. 7. Don't you ever swear on my show. Don't you ever say the Lord's name in vain when I'm at a game. Don't you ever, parents, act like an idiot during the games. Don't you ever talk back to a coach or an adult or say anything derogatory. Parents, Cheer for your teammate, your sons, positively. Don't question coaches' decisions. Hold your kids accountable. Kids, hold yourselves accountable. Don't text me inappropriate things, athletes, or swear during my text messages. I will tell your high school coach. I'm tired of being treated like a piece of garbage. Athletic directors should tell your coaches to teach your kids a segment how to deal with the media. Parents should be watching what your kids post on their social media platform. Coaches should be watching what your athletes post on their social media platform. Coaches, feel free to stand by me while I'm interviewing your athletes. Period. I've even been treated like crap because of my autism. That's wrong. Treat every media outlet, treat people the way you want to be treated. I'm going to read you from chapter 22, verses 1 through 18. Thus saith the Lord, go down in the house of the king of the Judah, and speak, there is a word, and say, the hearer of the word of the Lord. And O King Judah, and the sittest upon the throne, and David, thou enter these gates. Thus saith the Lord to execute the judgment and righteousness in hand, and deliver the spoiled out of the hand, and the oppressor, and the stranger, and fatherless, nor and blood of this place. And for ye and do things indeed, and shall be entered by gates and house things. And the house king sitting upon the throne, and David riding in his chariots and horses, and he and his servants and his people. And if we will not hear in these words, and I swear by thyself, and say, Lord, and the house shall become desolation. And for those and saith the Lord unto the king's house in the Judah and the Goliath, and unto me in the Head and the Lebanon, and surely, and I will make the wilderness and the city which is not inhabited, and I will prepare for destroyers against everyone with the weapons, and shall cut down in the choice and ever cedars, and them into the fire. And many nations shall pass by the city, and shall say every man and the neighbor, and wherever, and the Lord's thus unto the great city, and shall answer, because they forsaken in the Lord and their God, and worshipped other gods, and served them, and ye, and not in the dead, and neither vehement in the weep in the sore, and the goeth away, and first shall return no more, and shall native country. And forth us in the Lord, and the touch Shalom, and son of Josiah, and King Judah, and reigned instead of the Josiah and his father, which is went forth in the place, and shall not return any more, and he shall die in the place where they had led, and captive, and shall in the land no more, and who unto the bledeth in house unrighteousness in the chambers, and by wrong in the seat, and in the service wages, and giveth him, and not in his work, and I will build me in the house of the chambers, and him out widows, in the clare, in the cedar, and the painted, in the violet, and shall reign, and because, and closes their cedar, and did eat and drink in the judgment and justice, and when it was well with him, and judged in the cause, and poor needy in his well with him, and is not to know in me and saith in the Lord, in thy eyes, in thine heart, and not but the in the covetousness, and the shed innocent blood, and the pressions, and the violence to do it, and therefore in the saith in the Lord concern, Jacob and the sons of King and Judah, and shall not limit, and saying, I, my brother, and I, sister, and they lameth, and for him, and I, Lord, and his glory, and shall be buried with and an ass drawn and cased forth beyond the gates in Jerusalem. You're always on stage. You're always on stage. Treat people the way you want to be treated. If you want a shirt, okay, look on my page. Venmo me at Jason-McElwain. It's $20 per shirt. $10 discounts for ambassadors done 6 to 10 interviews. If you want a hat, it's $25. Combo is $40. Look on my page. I hope my message is clear. I will not tolerate being treated like garbage. Thank you. Why would you come in here when I'm doing something?
Wiping the blood off your pillow. Who are you hollering at?
Why do you want to know the business? It's none of your business.